How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video where this time we'll be taking a look at this. This is the Primitive War Bestiary. What it basically is like a little bit of a guide for a lot of the creatures that show up in the Primitive War book series. It's really cool. It has some absolutely amazing illustrations in here and a lot of really cool kind of like in-universe facts, something that I've really been digging. Now, we're going to be taking a look at it, but we're not going to look at the whole book because I think that you guys should definitely go and, check it out for yourself if that's something that you're truly interested in. So we're going to be looking at just like a few creatures here and there, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about them. It was written by Ethan Pettis, and the illustrations are done by Bruno Hernandez. So one of the first big creatures in here is the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, of course, full transparency while going into this, Primitive War does have some basis in accuracy. A lot of what's portrayed in the books was decently accurate for the time and still is decently accurate. But of course, with like most other stories, a lot of creative liberties were taken, as well as a lot of speculation, of course. So kind of keep that in mind as we're going through this. Now, first with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, this was certainly a point in time that T-Rex was really portrayed as pretty fluffy. Like you can just see all those feathers right there. It was always really fun seeing portrayals like this because it like you just had the feathers on the back. Those were fairly common for the time. Nowadays, the consensus, or not, well, I don't know if it's necessarily the consensus, but the most likely scenario in terms of Tyrannosaurus Rex and feathers are these very small hair-like feathers that were ever so sparse, just all over the body, like what you see in Prehistoric Planet. Prehistoric Planet, when you were looking at the animal, you probably wouldn't even guess that T-Rex had feathers in that, but if you look very closely, you can see the feathers are present. Or of course with a lot of Gabriel Ogueto art, or just a lot of different paleo artists that portray it similar to that. This is certainly like a really fun take that I absolutely love to see. And as described in the book, there is sexual dimorphism between the male and the female. The female has more of a brownish coloration, whereas the male has more greens in his feathers. It's all around so cool. Ooh, I kind of want to talk about the Deinonychus right here. So here we have it just kind of like hanging out on the branches. I love seeing relatively small dromaeosaurs. I say relatively, but Deinonychus was really not too small in the grand scheme of things. If you saw it in front of you, I don't think the first thing you'd be thinking is, wow, that's a small raptor. I think the first thing you'd be thinking is, I got to get out of here, I love seeing raptors like that in the trees like this. There are a lot of researchers who agree that Deinonychus would spend some time in the trees and simply just jump down onto the prey. And so seeing this portrayal right here is amazing. The coverage of feathers is amazing. I love the blues that it has, and that snout, the coloration of the snout with a little bit more greens look really, really cool as well. All around, just a fantastic portrayal. I also want to talk about this. This is the Caprosuchus. Now, I want to talk about the Caprosuchus because Caprosuchus has been talked about quite a bit because a lot of people think that this is Caprosuchus, which I don't think it is. This is what Caprosuchus looks like. And, this is basically how they're described in the book, which in the book, in terms of their skull, they were described accurately. Caprosuchus had these huge teeth, like these huge interlocking teeth that almost looked like boar tusks. So if this fella is meant to be Caprosuchus, then it's of course not that good of a Caprosuchus design, and it's like missing one of the key attributes. However, this portrayal right here certainly is not missing that, and I'm sure that if we saw Caprosuchus in the movie, this is what it would look like. And besides, I think that this was already confirmed that this was at the very least, a Spinosaurid, so I'm kind of beating a dead horse with that one. I apologize. Let's talk more about the Boarcroc. They have a very cool scene in the book. They're essentially just like attacking a herd of Triceratops before then attacking the boat where our main characters are on. There's like hordes of them just attacking everything, and it's really, really cool. And it's really cool for Caprosuchus to get the spotlight in such a huge way. I certainly do hope that it shows up in the movie, though I think I would understand if it did not. But, hopefully. Fingers crossed it will. I also want to talk about this Quetzalcoatlus. This is a very good Quetzalcoatlus design. It does have the pycnofibers, which are basically just in essence feathers. I think they have the same structure as feathers. But the head looks good, the crest looks really good, and I also really love that red that it has on its throat. You'll also notice that tongue. That tongue, it has all kinds of like little barbs or quills on them, and they'd use them to like latch onto their prey and just, it's very violent. If you I don't recommend children reading this book, both the original Primitive War novel and this bestiary, and they would essentially just use their tongues to rip folks apart. It's pretty brutal overall. And they just have like a very terrifying appearance, and I love their design here too. That tongue is of course speculative, but it is just very cool. The Triceratops looks really good. It, you know, has the proper Triceratops head, the whole three-horned face, and notably it does have some quills, which were mentioned in the book. Quills are of course speculative for Triceratops, mostly speculative. Some smaller relatives like Psittacosaurus have been found with quill-like bristles at the base of its tail. We don't know if Triceratops had that per se, but it is certainly a possibility that something like that would grow in between the scales. We just simply haven't found any evidence for it. But it's always really cool. Blah, I can't speak. But it's always really cool to see it in some form of a speculation matter. And, you know, this art is just amazing. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to talk about is the Cryolophosaurus. And I want to talk about it because there's like something that is just really cool about this portrayal that I think is really fun. So Cryolophosaurus is quite well known for having its strange crest. That being a crest that kind of goes from side to side instead of front to back. You know, usually dinosaurs would have crests that go front to back. Cryolophosaurus did not. In here, we see it portrayed with feathers on top of that crest, something that just kind of makes it seem like it's a bit more emphasized for display, which of course the crest would have been used for display. It's just really cool to see that little added thing to just help emphasize the fact that this is a display structure, and I just think it's really fun overall. So yeah, again, there is way more. Like, I haven't even gone into the Utahraptors or the Therizinosaurus or anything like that. So if you want to see more about this book, I do highly recommend checking it out. I will have the link down below in the description. So if that's something you're interested in, then definitely go for it. But yeah, I've certainly had Primitive War on the mind recently. I've had a lot of dinosaur projects on the mind recently. Primitive War and Walking with Dinosaurs have certainly been at like the forefront, and Dinosauria Volume 2. So there's just like been a lot of projects that have just kind of like just been going around, I guess. And I do plan on talking a little bit more about these things. I think I might try to make some more Walking with Dinosaurs videos, but I certainly want to try to make some more Primitive War videos in the lead up to that movie coming out. It is going to be an absolutely jam-packed summer. That is something that we can all look forward to. We have Jurassic World Rebirth over the horizon. I believe that Primitive War should be coming out sometime this summer. Last I heard, I can't remember specifically. Of course, Walking with Dinosaurs is going to be coming out within the next few months, in like sometime in May or June. It's just crazy. It's a fantastic time to be a dinosaur fan, or just a prehistoric fan in general. So I, for one, am I'm incredibly excited for all of it, and I'm sure that many of you are as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video and you like dinosaur-related content, please consider subscribing. That really does help out a lot. Also, if you want to hear like 3 dinosaur nerds talk more about dinosaur stuff, consider checking out our podcast. That is Paleopod. The link will be down below in the description. Also, if you want to help support the channel, please consider checking out my Patreon or becoming a channel member. Whatever you choose gets a lot of really cool perks, and of course, you are helping support just the channel in general, and I'm truly appreciative of each and every one of you who are currently doing that. You guys are awesome. But again, that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.